Hey guys, just a few thoughts. We have a voice box. This voice box has strings that are called vocal cords in it that stretch when they want to produce one kind of sound, like a high frequency sound or high pitched sound, and then they relax when they want to produce a deeper or lower frequency sound. This voice box is sitting on top of the air pipe, the trachea. On top of this voice box, you have like a flap that covers it. Why? Because when you swallow food, this food, we don't want it to accidentally fall into the lungs or into the trachea. You don't want a cheeseburger down there. It's going to block the air pipe. We're not going to be able to breathe. There's a flap or cover over its panel, and there's a whole mechanism that allows this flap to cover at the right time, open up at the right time, and for food to be directed into the food pipe, which is right next to the air pipe. We have this air pipe taking air down into the lungs. The lungs are full of millions and millions of tiny little balloons, air sacs called alveoli, that allow air that we breathe in, that's full of oxygen, that is critical to our body, to diffuse across a very thin, amazingly designed membrane or layer, cell layer, so that it can go into the blood. And at the same time, it allows carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of metabolism and is harmful to our body when it's too high in the blood, to diffuse back across into the lungs so that we can breathe it out. This is in one breath, one deep breath in, one breath out, and you have all of the exchange happening. You have an amazing blood supply that is washing all of these alveoli, so all of this can actually take place and can help the body. This blood, subhanAllah, is coordinated from the heart. The heart has 4 chambers in it. You have the right side of the heart pumping this blood to the lungs. This blood is very poor in oxygen and very high in carbon dioxide. It goes to the lungs. You get the exchange, and the whole equilibrium is, or the whole, the levels are reversed, so that you end up with oxygen coming into this blood, carbon dioxide leaving, and now this blood that is useful to us comes back down to the left side of the heart. Now it's full of oxygen, has lower carbon dioxide. Now it goes to the left side of the heart to pump around the body, subhanAllah, for the body to use it. The heart itself is made up of little cells called cardiac cells or cardiomyocytes. They conduct electricity. They beat at a very specific rhythm. There's a little battery in the heart, subhanAllah, that times this these heartbeats very regularly, and it synchronizes them, because if they are irregular, it's actually harmful. You can get blood clots inside the heart. You might not, the heart, which its main function is a pump of blood, might not pump blood effectively, and this can lead to obviously a lot of problems. So subhanAllah, is amazingly regulated. These tiny cardiac myocytes or cardiomyocytes, they have little connections between themselves. They can actually conduct electricity themselves. There's a pathway of nerves or electric wires inside the heart that conducts it really fast. There's a safety block in the middle of the heart, subhanAllah, that actually slows down electricity, because that is absolutely critical for the timing between the top part of the heart and the lower part of the heart, to make sure the 2 chambers of the heart on top, they contract and squeeze the blood first into the lower chambers, and then we stop that signal, then it goes down again. Then the lower chambers, the signal comes to them, the electric signal, and they contract and send blood where they're supposed to send blood, subhanAllah. We have for example, the small intestines. We have the stomach. The stomach has an amazing design, subhanAllah. You have the food pipe going down into the stomach. There's actually like a sphincter or a tightened area between the food pipe and the stomach. This, subhanAllah, the food pipe is designed to move food from the mouth all the way down to the stomach. It squeezes it like a toothpaste tube. When this food gets down to the stomach is full of acid, and very strong acid, and it's full of a strong enzyme that actually breaks down proteins. This is good for food. The acid and the protein breaking enzyme, they're very good to breaking down proteins in the food, but they might eat up the stomach itself. So subhanAllah, the stomach, Allah has created an amazing thick layer of mucus covering it, produced by the stomach cells or by different stomach cells, to actually protect the stomach against. The stomach has other defensive mechanisms as well. You have bicarbonate in there. You have blood washing this acid away so that it doesn't harm the stomach, subhanAllah. And then you have this tightening at the top of the food, the bottom of the food pipe, between the food pipe and the stomach, to prevent this acid going up into the food pipe and causing reflux and actually burning the food pipe, subhanAllah. Then you have the small intestines down here. This food, once it's digested, the stomach can mechanically and chemically digest the food, so it'll turn it around, and then it doesn't just dump it all into the intestines in one go. No, it releases small amounts bit by bit, called chyme, into these small intestines, The small intestine, subhanallah, they again do that toothpaste tube movement to squeeze the food down bit by bit. In the meantime, they are digesting and absorbing this food into the blood. This is the main point where food comes, or the useful parts of food come into our blood, subhanallah. At the time the food is coming down, you have enzymes activated and released from the pancreas, from the gallbladder. They are released into the intestine to meet the food and to cause the breakdown of this food and allow this digestion more easily, subhanAllah. Once, for example, the fats come into the blood, they are packaged into these big round globules that send them around. A lot of what we absorb into the blood goes into the liver. The liver is the processing factory or the system, subhanAllah, that has an amazing architecture. You should Google it. And the architecture of the hepatocytes, subhanAllah, they get this food, or the food that's coming in the blood, they process it, they send it to the right place in the body, they might package it, they might turn it into something else, subhanAllah. And then the waste product, or some of the wastes, they continue going down the small intestine into the large intestine. In the large intestine, we absorb a lot of water from it because we don't want to waste water as much as needed, subhanAllah. There's a lot of regulatory steps that make sure we're not just sucking all the food and all the minerals and vitamins and everything else that's in the food into the body. This is regulated so that you don't end up overdosing on something that, for example, you eat a banana that's full of potassium. You don't want to just absorb all of that potassium into your body if you have enough potassium in your blood, subhanAllah. So there's amazing mechanisms for all of this, subhanAllah. The transit goes down the large intestine. Again, there's many different things that happen in the large intestine, but eventually it comes out as stool. You have the spleen, which is, the spleen's on the other side down here. The spleen, subhanAllah, it is part of what's called, the system that deals with, it's part of the immune system, and it also deals with aging red blood cells. It helps aging red blood cells. You don't want them just floating around the blood and then clogging up things or places and not really being useful as a carrier of oxygen. So subhanAllah, the spleen, one of its functions is to get rid of the old or dying red blood cells. Amazing creation, subhanAllah. You have the whole rib cage in front. You have the muscles. We haven't even talked about that. The whole nervous system is amazing, subhanAllah. The brain, a huge part of which we still don't understand until now, is so complex, is so vast. The way neurons and these wires, they communicate with each other, they send chemical signals, their speed is amazing. They're insulated by something called a myelin sheath, which is like the insulation around electric wires that allows the speed of conduction to be really fast, subhanAllah. We have reflex pathways going through the spinal cord, so that, for example, if you touch something hot or painful, you just move your hand away straight away before the thought even occurs to your mind, before you can consciously say, I'm going to move away from this is hot. SubhanAllah, this allows you to protect yourself. SubhanAllah, the whole immune system itself in the blood, and the white blood cells. There's so many kinds of white blood cells. Some deal with bacteria, some deal with viruses. They develop specific memory against certain bacteria and viruses and pathogens and bad things that come into the blood, so that next time they can mount a stronger immune response. This is a basis for the whole idea of vaccination. You have a lot of these cells are produced in the bone marrow, subhanAllah. They go to another organ in the neck called the thymus, which carries out education of some of these white blood cells, and it only selects the ones that will actually be useful and work well in the body. You don't want white cells or immune cells, which basically act to be like soldiers going around the body attacking random things that are vital in the body. You only want them attacking things that come from outside the body that are harmful. So subhanAllah, there's actually a school, an educational center called the thymus that filters out only the ones that actually work, subhanAllah, work as they're supposed to work, and the rest of them, they get killed. You have lymph nodes sitting at the entry sites to the body, so like all over the throat and the back of the throat and back of the mouth. You have tonsils, and you have these lymph nodes that are actively sampling and checking things that come into the body, so that it knows, hey, something bad has come into the body, we're going to monitor this, subhanAllah. We haven't even talked about the eyes, and the way the eye design is so incredible, subhanAllah. The layers of the retina behind that accept or that receive this light and turn it into an electric signal and send it to the back of the brain to be processed. The way this light, subhanAllah, literally goes into the eye, which is like a dark room. You have a very specific design for the cornea, the front of the eye, the iris, the lens, the way they react to focus light specifically on one point on the retina, subhanallah, the skin and all the functions of the skin as a barrier. And subhanallah, this is just talking like very superficially. How can we believe, and this is the main point, or one of the main points, how can we ever think that this one came out of nothing, or that there isn't a creator who created this amazing designed system that is, we have not come to anything near. With all the technology we haven't come to making anything near how complex and well designed and perfect the immune system is, or the whole body is, subhanallah. One thing, for example, in cells, when you have cells replicating or growing, like you have one cell that is now becoming 2 cells and 2 cells becoming 4 cells, a cell divides itself. When it comes to do that, this is on a tiny cellular level. You have the DNA. The DNA is so amazing, subhanAllah, in itself. You have all these different codes in there, specific codes that make up genes that give very specific instructions for what this kind of cell should be doing. And these, you have to photocopy the DNA so that you have 2 copies, so that now from one cell you can get 2 copies going into 2 different cells. This photocopying mechanism is really tightly regulated, subhanAllah. You actually have tiny little machines that will go and check the code. It will literally check the code. It will go back to now you've copied the code, it will literally go and make sure, have you copied this right or not? If you haven't copied part of it right, you actually have some other little machine that will come and chop out the wrong bit, add the right bit, and then it will separate after it's made sure that the code is perfect and right. And subhanAllah, the amount of, like, on the cellular level and on the whole macro level, or every single level, the more you study about the human body, the more you look into the fine details of it, the more you're amazed that this, subhanAllah, that you see Allah's creation, you see God's creation, how amazing and stunning it is, and how perfect it is. And this leads us to the question, did we come from nothing? Definitely not. Do we have a creator? Yes, we have a creator, and a creator that is wise, that is merciful. We can tell this from looking at the human body. The creator is wise, the creator is merciful, the creator has absolute knowledge, absolute power. And then when you come to that realization, then who should we obey? Whose commands should we follow? Who should we try to please? The creator that gave us this amazing body without us asking. Think about it. It literally all came from one tiny sperm that is so microscopic you cannot see it with your naked eye at all. A tiny sperm and a tiny egg. One sperm, one egg. Developed into, millions of these have developed into millions and billions of humans across the globe, all of them with these amazing systems, none of which we even try to design, none of which we can even get close to designing anything like it. We didn't ask for it. It just came as a blessing, as a gift from God, and as a test from our creator, from God, to test us. What are we going to do with these amazing bodies and the blessings and everything that he gave us? Are we going to follow his command? Are we going to obey what he wants from us? And another question, do we think that a creator that created this amazing detail and perfection in our bodies then left us alone with no guidance, with no idea of why are we here? Like, what am I doing here? Why am I created? Why do I exist? Am I created just to do my 9 to 5 and have kids and play around and have fun and then die, and then my kids do the same, and then their kids do the same, with literally no purpose, but with amazing bodies, amazing creation, amazing everything? This is just our bodies. We're not even talking about the whole solar system and the sun and the moon and the rain and water cycle and the mountains and the trees and this whole world around us, and the perfection that you can go back to astronomers and see what they say about how perfectly, amazingly well this whole world has been designed, has been created. There is a creator, there is a great, powerful creator. He alone is the one that we should obey his commands, that we should follow. And he didn't leave us after creating us, and after creating this whole world around us, did not leave us just to not know what we're doing in life, just to go about our daily routines. Some of us are poor, some are rich, some people are bad, some people are not bad, some people harm each other, some people don't want to, they just want to do whatever pleases them. They don't want to follow any commands from the creator himself. Do you think that this that this is what the Creator did. No, the Creator, He gave us very specific instructions, gave us a guidance on how to please Him, and that is through humans like us. God sent down messages to humans like us, and God gave them proof. Before you think and say, okay, but how do we know? Well, God knows how. God is the one who created our brains, created our minds, created the faculties that we're going to use, our senses, that we can use to find the truth and to know what is right and what is not right. So when God sent humans like us as messengers to us, carrying the messages of God to tell us what pleases God and what doesn't please God, God gave them very strong, irrefutable proof for anyone who's actually sincerely looking for the truth, not with an agenda, not with a preconceived bias and notion, and definitely not with arrogance and just wanting to stick to your own ways. No, sincerely looking for the truth that came from our Creator alone. Where's the truth? And is there proof of this truth? And if there's proof of this truth, I will follow it, I will obey. So God gave these messengers these proofs along with the message that God gave us. These messages and that God sent down, they are actually they're not to make our life hard. They're actually what's best for us. It makes us the happiest, and it suits us perfectly. It's actually what's best for us in this life, and it's definitely what's best for us in the next life. So it's best for us in this life and best for us in the next life. And the last and final messenger. So God sent many messengers, some of which you might have heard of: Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and the last and final of them is Muhammad, peace be upon him. Many messengers God sent to their own people, but Muhammad, peace be upon him, the last and final messenger, who was mentioned in many of the old books that God revealed to Moses, peace be upon him, in the Torah, and to Jesus, peace be upon him, in the Injil. God mentioned that there will be a final messenger. This final messenger is Muhammad, peace be upon him, a messenger to all of mankind. Yes, he was an Arab. Yes, he came from Mecca, from the city. God subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God's name is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of his names. He chose Muhammad, peace be upon him, to carry this final message to all of humanity before the day of judgment. And there's many irrefutable, you cannot argue with the proofs that God gave Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he is the final messenger, and that his message that Allah sent to him, which is the Quran, the holy book of the Quran, and the teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and how to live life and what to do in life. It's not just, there are religious obligations, but it's the whole lifestyle and how to live life. This is all, Allah revealed all of this to Muhammad, peace be upon him, who brought this message to us. Look up or read up about Islam, read up about the proofs of Islam, the proofs of the prophethood of Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I pray to Allah that Allah guides me, guides you, and guides us all to what pleases him until the day that we meet God, because we're all going to die and we're all going to go back to God. Allah is going to bring us together on the day of judgment, and everyone will be judged by their deeds and their actions, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. So I pray to Allah that Allah guides you, guides me, guides us all to what pleases him, and to follow his messenger Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, not according to corrupted teachings that came afterwards by people changing it for their own whims and desires, but rather in the pure teachings of Islam that Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, our Creator, revealed to him. He alone deserves to be worshipped. He alone deserves that we love him and obey him and follow his commands, and he alone will judge us. And I pray to Allah, to God, that you and I and all of us become from the people of paradise, and that Allah saves us from the hellfire. And that's all. Take care. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.